to Vasquez. Freshman Queen who's driving, floats it. And here comes the Pens on the floor with 2 seconds. Here it goes for the win.
What is up, Terps fans? Welcome in another Fear the Podcast here on IMS Radio. We're going to break down Maryland's 74-61 loss to Nebraska, go through the whole entire thing here. Honestly, the Terps were pretty good in this one for about the first 3 quarters of this game. They actually led 48-45 with about 10 minutes and change to go. At that point, Nebraska kicks it into second gear or overdrive or whatever gear, I don't know, you want to use. They go on an 18-3 run, basically ices the game. Their forwards, Rink Mast, and freshman forward who comes off the bench for them, which was incredible, Braden Frager, basically take over. But I thought the Terps acquitted themselves pretty well here against the top 12 team, and it's a bummer that that's just kind of where we are with this season overall. But in the grand scheme of things, not getting just obliterated by 30 like they have against a lot of the top teams in this conference, I think is a sign of growth. So I'm like at the moral victory stage of things where just like not being embarrassed on TV is a win for us. Fred Hoiberg actually said that Maryland punked them in the first half, which is great. And I love a compliment like that from somebody like Hoiberg. And I think it's honestly true. Like Maryland met the challenge physically or in terms of physicality and toughness for a good portion of this game. They just ultimately didn't have enough juice to get them over the hump. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button for us. I ask this every time. I'm sorry if it's annoying. We very much do appreciate it here on the channel. Buzz Williams said after the game, we ran out of gas a little bit from 6.5 minutes left to 3.5 minutes left. We were playing with unbelievable passion, but I thought it was a little too much in regards to our maturity and handling that passion. I don't ultimately know what that means. I've been trying to just decipher these meaningful texts for several hours now. It's just there's a lot of quotes like that from this one. I think there was some actual good stuff from Buzz that took some accountability, but he also said Nebraska forces you to shoot a lot of threes, so we had to shoot a lot of threes, and that's a little disconcerting to me to just say this team totally dictated the entire way we played. Maryland has been getting away from just the stagnant 3-point shooting at the end of shot clock offense that they ran for the first 2/3 of the season, and have really been making concerted effort to move the ball, find ways to attack, get into seams on the court, and kick the ball back out to shooters if they need to shoot threes. But they go 12 of 36 in this one, so 36 is way too many threes for this team to ever take. Granted, making 12 of them is probably best case scenario. They shoot 33% here. Anytime Maryland makes double-digit threes, I feel like is a win for them. But they only get to the line 8 times, free throw line 8 times. They make 7 of 8. They allow Nebraska to get there 24 times. They make 18. Buzz talked about that has got to flip for them. They want to make more free throws than the other team takes, which is a noble goal, but it was total flip-flop of that this time. Maryland was kind of neutral on them with the boards. On the boards, Nebraska beats them by 1, 35-34. That's obviously a big component of buzzball where the Terps have been better recently. I feel like you can kind of live with that as a wash here overall. The unfortunate thing is those 7 rebounds for Nebraska, 7 offensive rebounds for Nebraska, it's those are things you'd also want to limit, and it's just I don't know. The Terps being a wash with them, I think, is just, given the size they're still giving up here, is probably best case scenario. You only get 18 minutes out of Collin Metcalf in this one. He picks up 5 fouls. Just not the right matchup for him with skilled perimeter-oriented big men on the Nebraska side. He largely stayed out there when Burke Buchtenschel was out there, who's not really much of a stretch player for Nebraska. He is pretty mobile, though, and that was a tough enough assignment. For Metcalf, I thought one of his fouls was totally bogus. For the most part, though, it was just these guys are pump faking me and putting the ball on the floor, and just that's a tough ask. And as good as he's been, or solid as he's been recently, I think that's where you started to see a little bit of the limitations. Let's just kind of run down it here. Andre Mills is the story for this one again. For the Terps, he finished with 19 points on 7 of 15 shooting, 3 of 9 from 3, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. I thought he was just impactful in pretty much every way you could be offensively. He had 4 turnovers. I'm not really mad at that from him, though, because of how much they're asking him to do. There are some situations here where him running and initiating the offense maybe gets you into a little bit of trouble. He's not a natural point guard or like elite ball handler. So there were a couple situations where that was a bit problematic. Number 1 on the scouting report for the guards should have been, hey, Sam Hoiberg is looking to pick six you at all opportunities and will absolutely shoot every potential gap here. But Maryland still kept throwing the ball to him. There was one where Solo lazily tried to toss the ball, I think, to Mills, and Hoiberg just took off. And I thought that got Maryland into a little bit of trouble here late in the game. Just circling back to that thing about the three-point shooting from Buzz of like, well, this is just the way Nebraska plays defense, and they force you to play this way. It's like, when do we impose our will or our style of play on the other team? And maybe that's an oversimplification. Like, you're on the road against a better team. They're just really good at making you play the way they want to play, which I think is the case. But when Nebraska's been beaten, it's because they aren't able to impose that will on other teams. And Maryland did a very good job on them defensively for 3/4 of this game before it got away from them a little bit. But that's what I'd like to hear from Buzz of like, this is what we tried to do to them and we're unable to do. And maybe that's more inside baseball than he wants to get into on a press conference. But if you're going to say all these things, like, I think it was the fact that we kept switching 1 through 5. Like, this is my interpretation of like what happened in that second half. When there was about 10 minutes to go, Maryland still had Diggy Coit out there and continued to switch 1 through 5. That ended up with Diggy Coit on Rink Mast, who is a very skilled passing big man who can also shoot it, put the ball on the floor, and all these other things. So it forced someone from Maryland to come over. But before they could double, anytime Mast got the ball off and threw it, and the ball swings around the horn to whoever was helping off their guy to come help double Mast. I thought that is like hugely detrimental to them and led to a couple times where they left Frager open. I mentioned Braden Frager for them. Finishes with 21 points, leading scorer in the game, 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, also had 8 rebounds. Like, he was the beneficiary of a couple of those, but also it allowed Price Sanford to get open here a little bit late. 2 of his 3 threes were in the second half. He finished with 2 of 7 in that second half, 3 of 11 for the game, which is great, by the way. Price Sanford has just been drilling threes on everyone. He has 16 points, which sounds good on paper, but I really do think the Terps guarded him about as well as anyone has all season for the majority of that game. But that defensive strategy from Maryland to switch everything resulted in them having to scramble so much. It resulted in the kinds of shots Nebraska wants for its offense. And another guy that was able to attack them was Jamarcus Lawrence. He doesn't have a great game box score-wise. He finishes with 3 points, 1 of 7 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. But when he did attack, his athleticism forced Maryland to also scramble. And he was a willing passer. He finishes with 6 assists to 1 turnover. I thought he put the Terps defense on its heels a lot, and that was obviously problematic for them. Solomon Washington was pretty good here again, 13.7 rebounds. This is one of the better Elijah Saunders games. He did a pretty good job, in my opinion, of matching the production from those bigs. He had 9 first-half points. Finishes with 15 for the game, was 5 of 10 from 3, so he is basically solely a stretch big now. The posting him up and trying to make him Pharrell Payne days are seemingly over, which I think is to Maryland's benefit. Leave him on the wing as one of the shooters and hopefully take a bigger guy away from the basket so drivers like Mills have theoretically a little more space to work with, I think is smart. Not a particularly good Darius Adams game. 6 points, 2 of 8 from the field, settled for a lot of those threes. 1 of 5 from 3. Just if the guy ever shoots it, he will be a problem. But until then, it's just he's so easy to guard. It's not easy to guard, but he becomes very one-dimensional to guard. Does have 6 assists in this game, though. I thought he was a willing passer. When he did get a guy on his hip, he was able to swing it or kick it out to people. That was nice. Not a great Diggy Coit game matchup-wise. I think they've really, the shift in how they've played offensively has hurt Coit. And then similarly on defense, if they're going to keep switching 1 through 5, he is someone you can continue to exploit. The momentum from Guillermo Del Pino did not carry over from last game to this one. He played 15 just largely unremarkable minutes, finishes with 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 fouls, and a turnover. I still kind of don't see that one, although it was nice to see that flash last game a little bit here. Turkson gives you 7 minutes, 2 points, 3 rebounds, not really a whole lot to write home about. So if you're the Terps, again, this was probably best case outcome against a team that's just that much more talented than you at this point in the season here. Let's see, is there anything else worth talking about? At one point in the second half, Maryland shot threes on 7 straight possessions and only made 1 of them. So that was a 5-minute stretch of their offense. Was end of shot clock, stagnant, no ball movement, 3-pointers. That's what they've got to get away from. That to me is more problematic than their ability to handle their maturity and handle the passion. Again, whatever that ultimately means. So it just, they held up pretty well against a team who is good at imposing their will on you for a large portion of it. A couple weird calls in this game, just in general. I don't think it really skewed one way or the other all that much. Solomon Washington did not goaltend that ball for my money. I don't understand. Rink Mass traveled openly 2 times, blatant bad ones that didn't get called. But then they also got Hoiberg with a nonsensical backcourt call. I've never seen that rule interpreted that way before personally. And then, Adams got the benefit of that one where he flopped and they called on them. But I don't know. My big takeaway here is Andre Mills. Just going to keep talking about Andre Mills. This might be Fear the Andre Mills podcast here moving forward because the dude is just good. He's a piece. And talking to other people that cover the Big Ten, it was whoa, hey man, this dude could be an all-league guard in 2 years. So he needs to be priority 1 for this team in the offseason here. I'm also putting together a list of other guards that make sense that could be buy low guys transferring up from mid-major ranks in the portal here. That's something I could do an episode on. So I don't know, whoever's still listening at this point in the podcast, please do me a favor, drop in the comments. Would you want to hear some transfer portal candidates that seem to fit, 1, next to someone like Mills, and 2, fit the mold of what this staff seems to look for from its guards? That's really all I got for you in this one. Largely an unremarkable game here. Is kind of boring, and I think Maryland wanted it to be boring, and they succeeded for 3/4 of it. Nebraska just too good ultimately, but hey, the other coach saying we punked them is a moral victory, and I'm willing to take that. All right, we'll be back to cover everything else here, Terps basketball related specifically on this particular podcast. But shout out to Wheels and the gang for doing the lacrosse pod on the channel here. So scroll down a little bit here. They're doing an amazing job with that so far already. Terps basketball is back Sunday at Xfinity Center against Rutgers at noon Eastern time. So Sunday, March 1st, noon Eastern time at Xfinity. I will not be able to make that one personally, which I'm bummed about here. But hopefully we can get a decent representation from Terps Nation here. That's a pretty winnable game here. After that, they play Wisconsin on the road, and then they close out the season at home against Illinois. So we'll see. The Rutgers game is probably your most likely chance for a remaining win here. And I think winning that one over Rutgers would help you get a little separation from them and finish in not in the bottom 4 of the Big Ten standings, which would get you a first-round bye. And that would just be nice to have 1 less day to prepare for someone in the Big Ten tournament. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button for us again, and we'll be back here on Fear the Podcast.